Hello, my name is Jasmine, I'm an illustrator, and welcome to my channel. For today's vlog, we're going to continue with writing my medieval comic called Girl Night. Where I'm at in the story, we are halfway through Act 3. My last vlog was focused on finishing Act 2. That was like a month ago, so I haven't been vlogging for the past month of February for a bunch of reasons. I was at cafes, and half of February I wasn't actually working on Girl Night. I was working on my fantasy romance story because I was stuck. I couldn't creatively pull myself out of that rut unless I focused somewhere else and let that marinate in the background. It took 2 weeks and something clicked, and now I'm back to writing Girl Night, and we are here. So let's just jump into continuing this progress, because I don't want to waste your time by too much blabbering, right? I've been doing pretty good waking up at 6:30 in the morning. Granted, I do press the snooze button at least once, so make it more like 6:45, but regardless, I did spend this morning writing, and I wrote 700 words. Yesterday, I only wrote 400 because I am nearing the climax of the entire story, the big culmination of all of the different threads that I have been sewing throughout the story. They're all colliding at once at the end of Act 3, and how they're going to collide, I see the itty bitty details I don't have figured out. The outline that I wrote, it was a pretty broad outline, so when I enter these sections in the story that I didn't fully flesh out, I feel like the brakes are put in my progress and I really slow down trying to problem solve on how to get from point A to point B that I wrote on that goddamn outline. Yesterday I hit one of those points where I don't know exactly how to get these characters from this place to that place, and having to cover some of the emotional beats that are supposed to happen. So yesterday's progress was slowed down because I had to do a bunch of research. In that research, I saw that I do have some gaps in knowledge that I might need to address. I don't think I can ignore these gaps. If you're new here, my comic is a historical fiction. I have done a lot of research on medieval France, specifically in the early 1400s. And honestly, the research will never end. I'm sure that that feeling of this needs more research, I'm sure that that feeling is not going to go away. As the creator who needs to finish this piece of work, I have to be able to say, no, this is enough. We don't need to go into itty bitty details of the diet of monks. Do we need to? No, we don't need to know that. And yet I still find myself in rabbit holes trying to figure out what nuns and monks ate. The thing that I realized I probably do need to do more research yesterday was on the region that this story takes place. If you Google Beaujolais region on Google, obviously, all you're going to get is information about the vineyards, the famous Beaujolais wine. You're just going to get tourism pages and vineyard information. So I need to know what Beaujolais was like in the 1400s. And that information exists, but it's in French. There's a huge barrier for me to be able to access this information. I thought I could just sort of invent it and just loosely base the story in the Beaujolais region, and I think that I am doing that successfully. But now that we're getting to the climax and I'm getting more details figured out, I do think that having some form of knowledge of the political state would help fleshing out this world better. Ultimately, that's the main reason that you're doing all of this research for a historical fiction. It's not to get to the truth of this period. We will never know exactly what it is like to live in medieval times. We truly will never know. The purpose of research is just to imagine a realistic world that could have happened, and the closer you are to details, the richer your story is going to feel. Pulling from details of the period, memoirs, interjecting actual politics that were happening, you're adding details that truly give the world a texture of its own. So I understand that. I had to play sort of a balancing game of how much can I pull from research and how much can I make up. If I were to find a way to get more information about the Beaujolais region during this period, I think it would really help the story feel more grounded. I did find 2 books talking about the Lords of Beaujeu and basically, yeah, the history of Beaujolais during medieval times. I found 2 books. They're in the UCLA library, and I live in Los Angeles, so technically I could go to that library and just browse those books. They are in French, but I can try to read them anyhow. My French is rudimentary. I'm going to give the library a call soon and see if I can stop by sometime this week. I hope that makes sense. That's where we ended the day yesterday. And this morning I told myself, we're just gonna keep writing through this. I looked up Cluny in France. Cluny is actually in that region too, so now I can interject the monasteries and nunneries that I wanted to go over near Cluny. So I got that stuff down. So I'm just gonna be pushing through. I'm gonna be solving these problems as they come up instead of just saying, oh, I don't have enough details in my outline, I can't write. No, I think I've realized in several other vlogs that sometimes you can solve story problems as you're literally living through them in the writing process. I am 700 words in this morning doing just that. My coffee is done, so I'm thinking of either making tea or coffee. That was 30 minutes, and we are about to jump into the second to last big action scene. You know what's really funny too is the break that I had in February to try to figure a bunch of things out for the story. Part of what I needed to figure out was the theme. I've always known that having a clear theme is super important to have a strong story, and I thought I had a clear theme, but as I've been working through the story, more importantly, been talking about this story, it became more apparent that I wasn't very clear on the theme, and that in fact I probably have a few themes wrapped up in this story. I'm laughing internally because as I was writing the last scene, I had an idea of how to incorporate echoes of that theme at the beginning of the story, because according to Save the Cat, you do want to state your theme early on in Act 1. Just got an idea for it. I opened up my Notion project. I have a page called To Insert where I just jot down the things that I know I have to add in once I go through revision. I just dump all those itty-bitty details that I want to interject later on in the revision stage. So I added that little piece of a theme mention, which is really good because that was one of my issues in February that I was missing, so I feel pretty good about that. We wrote 300 words and I don't really want to write, but I know I should. Maybe we should do this somewhere else. I've been trying to follow news of the invasion as closely as possible, so now that it's the next day, I do want to see if anything new happened.
Abroad are debating even harsher sanctions. We're seeing a little barrage of businesses step in.
There's an ambulance a few houses down. It's been an hour of me watching YouTube. This is telling me is that I don't want to go back to writing because it's gonna be hard problem solving. So what do? We set up our desk for writing, make coffee, and just get it done.
calling the Young Research Library. At this time, most UCLA library locations have resumed on-site services to valid Bruin card holders only.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I just have a few questions, and I'm not sure who to speak with. There's a few books that came up on the internet, and it says here that it's available at the UCLA library. The Southern Regional
Library facility?
Yeah, I know with COVID there's been a lot of restrictions.
Building access, as you said earlier, is still unfortunately only for students. So you'd have to wait to hear an update for that. But good luck.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. I don't think those books are going to be available then. Let's just look up one of those books, okay? The card that we just looked up on my iPad is the LA County Library card. The second one that's on my phone is the Los Angeles Public Library card. So just the city of Los Angeles. So if the entire county doesn't have it, I'm gonna assume it's not gonna be there either. Nothing. No results. I really don't know what the hell I'm doing in this portion of the story. Past Jasmine left a huge gap in the story. So now I'm pretty much just pantsing this part. Pantsing is not inherently a bad way of writing, it's just not I'm not too comfortable doing it because I'm constantly questioning my decisions as I'm making it up along the way. So I don't feel super comfortable in this, and it's going very slow. Where we're at with the word count, it's hard to even breathe. Damn coffee. We're at 1,700 words. We're back. It's 4:30. Tomorrow I have day job stuff to do, so I really want to be able to get to more than 2,000 words. So we're gonna continue to write. The only thing left to do too is going on a run once Jonathan gets home from work. So other than that, there are no excuses. We will keep writing. That was my timer. Where we're at in the story, I mentioned earlier that we're nearing the second to last big action scene. So I'm trying to figure out how we get there. How does the group encounter this situation? I've never had to think about how all the members of this party have to agree to participate in this, which is forcing me to think about what their motivations are. And that's great. Even side characters have motivations and backstories and all that, and it's important to flesh them out. I really haven't had a chance to do that, which is making me wonder. I'm not a good writer, and it's making me realize that a portion of my writing process is very much a pantsing. Never thought that was the case. But I'm definitely seeing now how the outline that I had devised and worked on for so long, it wasn't as fleshed out as I thought it was. I'm just surprised. The only additional thing I have to say on that is that revision is gonna be hell. It's gonna be hell, because that's what happens when you're a pantser. You write a lot of stuff that might not be connected with each other, and you're writing more of a zero draft than a actual first draft. So this story so far I think is more of a half zero, half first draft. I know that once I finish Act 3, I'm gonna have to rewrite the entirety of Act 1 because it's a mess. And as much as I tried to write Act 1 neatly, I knew that I should just trudge through and write Act 2 and 3 and see what comes out of it, what I actually figure out, so that I can apply it and set it up in Act 1. I think that strategy is working for me. If somebody were to have told me that years ago, I would have been like, that sounds like a hot mess. I would never be able to do that. No. last month I realized all of this, that this is working. A little bit of chaos really does help get stuff done. And that was 200 words. We will continue. This is the part where research can affect your storytelling. Eventually, I would like to make a video about the creative process and historical research, but for now, I just wanted to mention that I'm problem solving through this process, right? Inventing basically how we're getting from the point A in the story to point B. Right now, I had to invent a village that the action scene is going to take place. If I had more information about this region during the Middle Ages, I would be able to pick from any of those villages mentioned or referenced in history and sort of work around that and see how we can connect a bunch of dots together in the story. But there's a gaping hole in my knowledge about this region, and I have to make stuff up. And I hate that. I really do hate that. If I can't get my hands on those 2 books at the UCLA library, I think I will definitely have to make stuff up, unfortunately. For right now, I'm going down that path and creating this fictional village with a fictional church that our characters are going to gather around, and it's just a shame. It's a shame that I can't find the information that I need to weave together history more closely. So I'm not sure why I'm sharing that. It's probably super disappointing news, but it's important. I want to show this part of the process and the decisions that a creator has to make when they are grappling with a historical period. Yeah, that's all I wanted to mention. Let's keep going. And as I'm checking, I was about to tell you what my current word count is. It's at 2,000. Like, right on the dot. Look at that. So we definitely got our word goal for today, but we're gonna keep going until Jonathan gets home. We're gonna go for a run, and I think on that run I'm gonna get ideas for this action scene. I think what we'll do, since I've been blabbering a lot, is we're just gonna montage writing, montage a little bit of running, and see what happens after I come back from my run.
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, more than he has ever been. Together,
What are you doing?